We're the good doctors of Abbey Research. I'm Dr. Hinson.
I'm Dr. Donnelly.
And it's the season finale, everybody. We are here with our continuing coverage of The Crown, and it's time for episode 10, entitled Mystery Man, which has to do with this whole massive government scandal in 1963 that Dr. Donnelly is going to fill us in on all the juicy gossip. In short, this episode is just culminating pretty much the relationship between Philip and Elizabeth with a soupçon of scandal thrown in there. Actually, a lot more. It's like a giant crock pot full of scandal. So we bounce back and forth between some things, but they show us that Philip is engaging in a relationship, professional, with this man, Ward, who is an osteopath. He's got like a crick in his neck. And they show us that he gets invited to his estate for a party. And that's kind of what you need to know for the upcoming scandal. So that's 1962. 1963, this woman is in a police department and giving a statement, and we don't really know who she is, and we find out that she's this Christine, whatever her face.
Healer.
Yes.
She is a model.
She is a model. Back to the royal family. Margaret is building, ostensibly what the show is about. The Queen and her sister are both pregnant. The Queen is told that her iron levels are low and that she has to rest for most of this pregnancy. Philip is not around. Shocker of shocks.
Shock.
And then the mystery man quickly becomes for people outside the royal family. We start to see some repercussions. So this chiropractor, Stephen Ward, is arrested, and the Profumo scandal erupts in full force. And the mystery man of the title of the episode is whether or not Philip was at this party with Profumo, who was the Minister of War, and this woman, Christine, who turns out was into her own nonsense. So put a pin in that because Dr. Donnelly will fill us in. There's a huge government scandal. The Prime Minister, Macmillan, who I only remember his name because it's written down, wants to resign, but the Queen is like, you can't just resign because things are difficult, like, suck it up. I have to go to Scotland to go make sure that this baby is cool, so just like don't shit a brick. Don't screw up anything. Just hold the government together.
All masking. Not a lot.
Not hard. Just don't screw up. She heads to Scotland, and Philip goes skiing in Switzerland. Awesome. There's this massive moral crisis in England over the scandal. The Prime Minister is in loads of trouble. Ward, the osteopath, kills himself. Rather tragically, he goes on trial for what happens. And investigators find a portrait of the prince in his possession. And that's when Michael has to tell the Queen that possibly Prince Philip is involved in this entire scandal. Yet another scandal for the prince. Claire Foy acts the shit out of it. My heart literally like broke for her as she is just trying not to like crumble as she finds out, like, I thought we were past this, and yet again, I'm gonna have to like clean up his mess. It could threaten the monarchy. It could threaten the government. And then she is informed that the Prime Minister has had a episode and is in hospital and cannot come to the palace to meet her. She has to come down while she's 6 months pregnant from Scotland. He can't even come to Buckingham Palace because he's that much of a weakling. And this is, we're building to the part that, like, this is the only part that I really wanted to share with you guys, because you know how much I love quotes. And this was like, whoever wrote this must have just like grinned from ear to ear when they did. So the queen's looking at him like he's wheeled out in his gurney, and she's just standing there like in her high heels while pregnant, and was just like, what?
Yeah.
And goes, do you know, I've been queen barely 10 years, and in that time I've had 3 prime ministers, all of them ambitious men, clever men, brilliant men. Not one has lasted the course. They've either been too old, too ill, or too weak. A confederacy of elected quitters. Never have I heard a better line in my life. It's like the biggest mic drop. She literally walks away and is just like, you know what I can't do? I can't quit. I can never quit. And I am just around a confederacy of elected quitters. The episode ends with the queen appointing her family friend as prime minister, which was, anyone could have told her was a bad idea, anyone being Philip, but guess what? Philip wasn't there. So then he comes back and Margaret's like, where the F have you been? Everything's in shambles. You're supposed to help her. She's in Scotland. So he goes to Scotland. The queen doesn't really like want to talk to him ever.
Why would she?
Shocking. But then they finally come to have a conversation about their marriage. She tells him about the portraits. He insists he was never at any of these parties. He says it's not him in the photographs. He says he's not cheated on her ever. Like, I don't believe any of this. I don't believe any of this. He tells her that he loves her, that, you know, your father told me that my only job was to protect you, and that's what I do. I protect you, and I know, why were you skiing in Switzerland? But anyway, he kind of prostrates himself in front of her. And they have like a lovely moment where they, I don't know, whatever. And then
I want her to think she's worth more than him.
I know.
Like, if she was my friend,
I'd be like, girl,
he is never going to change.
He's not worth it. He's not worth the frustration and the agony. But she doesn't have a choice because they can't get divorced. She can't quit being queen, so she's gotta like find her way through it. And then the closing scene of the whole season is they're having a family portrait done after the babies are born. Andrew and whatever Margaret's child was named. And they're trying to, is it Andrew or is it the last one? This was baby number 4, was it? Didn't we already have Andrew?
Did we already have Andrew?
We did.
How detailed they are about the life of the queen.
I think we already had Andrew. This must be the 4th one.
What's the
Edward?
What's the 4th one called?
Is there an Edward? Yeah, this is the 4th one, I think.
So Wikipedia.
We'll ask Wikipedia. But they're having a family portrait done, and everybody's bickering. And the queen is trying not to lose her shit, and Philip just finally stands up and screams at everyone to like be still and be silent. So that is supposed to show us that he is like always going to look out for her, and he's going to be there to like keep everyone in line.
Yeah, Edward, Earl of Wessex.
And he was born in 1963, presumably.
4, yep.
Yeah, so yeah. Yes, so they're 1964, and that's end scene for the season. And for Claire Foy and Matt Smith as their respective roles. But Dr. Donnelly, as an American, I had no idea what the HE double hockey sticks was happening with this Perfumo scandal. They didn't deal with it very well in the show because I think they assumed that the majority of the viewing audience knew what was happening. But please, would you enlighten me and our dear readers?
I'd be delighted.
Thank you.
So do you, the song We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel, there's a line in it where he says British politician sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I never knew what that was.
Me neither.
Turns out, Perfume of Scandal.
No way.
These are the British politicians having sex. So,
musical history for you guys today.
I mean, it's just a twofer here. So the Minister for War, John Profumo, was having an affair with Christine Keeler.
Yes, the woman in the police department.
We know this.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Go for it. Have the crack.
Knock your socks off.
Problem. Keeler was an MI5 asset
Ooh.
Sleeping with the Soviet attaché Yevgeny Ivanov.
Ah.
So she is sleeping with Perfumo, which MI5 did not tell her to do.
Right. They told her to sleep with Ivanov.
They told her to sleep with Ivanov.
And so then the question becomes, is she sharing intelligence, right? Yeah.
Correct. And the issue is all of this was done at a party that Ward threw. Ward was also Keeler's landlord. And Ward was an MI5. And they were all trying to get Ivanov to defect.
Ah. The heart of the
like early Cold War.
Yeah. This is like
63. So the love.
Yeah,
so,
this would have been like right after the Cuban Missile Crisis and everything as well. So
right. But those affairs happened back in the late 50s.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So it became public in 1963 when somebody else that Keeler slept with, the girl made a lot of choices.
No judgment.
And tried to find her, could not find her, decided to confront her at Ward's house, knowing that she would be there, and did so with a firearm.
So she was brought into the police department and then she just spills all the beans?
Essentially.
Okay.
So Keeler is known for having a loose tongue. So to quote from a Vulture article, British tabloids were filled with tales of upper-class perversions. And it's not a stretch to say that the combination of explicit sex talk and the embarrassment of this old establishment is what truly kicked off the swinging 60s in Britain.
Woohoo!
Profumo denied the affair and then had to resign once the truth came out.
Yeah.
Macmillan came under huge criticism for sweeping the whole thing under the rug. He resigned for health reasons, but everybody knows the Tories would have lost that election.
Yeah.
The Tories were done at that point, and they didn't. Am I right? They didn't come back till Maggie?
I have no idea.
Okay. But Harold Wilson is Labor, right? And he's next.
Harold Wilson was Labor. Yeah. There's somebody in between Macmillan and Wilson.
Yeah, but not anybody of consequence, I don't think.
I don't think so. And then
Wilson, is there somebody between Wilson and Thatcher? I can't remember.
I'm going to ask Wikipedia list of British prime ministers. Not since Churchill. Who needs the list? So Alec Douglas Home was the friend of Lizzie.
Right. Okay.
So he only lasted a year. Then we had. That's not chronological. Wikipedia.
They need to be chronological.
They went from 1963 to 1970. I was like, we had prime ministers for 7 years.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. Lots of old white dudes in wigs.
Okay, so while she's doing that, let me go back to the show really quick. In that Mystery Man, so if you watched our last recap, we said that in Britain there is like the accepted, like what actually happened and then what everybody knows happened. And the Profumo affair is a great example. Most of Philip's life is actually a great example. Yeah. So officially, according to a government inquiry in 1963, Philip had nothing to do with this. Unofficially, a lot of people still think he did. So like Andrew Lloyd Webber co-wrote a musical that talks about it.
Who knew this?
We know that, let me find the name of that musical. I can't remember it off the top of my head. So.
While you're looking that up, Harold Wilson was after Douglas Home.
Okay.
I did not know Harold Wilson was prime minister twice. That shows my level of knowledge. From 64 to 70, then we have Edward Heath, then Harold Wilson. Edward Heath was conservative. So him for 4 years, then we have Wilson, then James Callaghan, then Margaret Thatcher.
Okay, and Callaghan was a Labor or
Labor, and Wilson was Labor.
Right. Okay.
So it didn't quite show, and then we had Maggie and John Major were both conservatives, and then we had Tony Blair. So, but it started. The conservatives have had a really long run up until that point, and the Perfume of Scandal kind of shifted balance over to Labor for a while.
one of the many things that shifted the balance over. Yeah.
Yes.
So Andrew Lloyd Webber's one-woman musical was called Pat Kirkwood is Angry, and evidently Pat Kirkwood was a actress, and he wrote a one-woman musical about it, and it's about the Profumo affair. And
wow.
Andrew Lloyd Webber very much claims that Philip knew all of this because Ward was a member of his Thursday
lunch club,
clubs, whatever.
Thursday
he did several portraits of Philip. He was an artist. They were purchased for cash and have generally disappeared. And the official Perfumo file is not classified as a 30-year file, so we still don't have it. There's a lot of files, Americans, that the British government classifies that they will declassify after 30 years.
After 30 years, yeah. So like every year there's a new release of files from 30
years ago. And there's some that are classified for 100 years, and that there are some that are classified for never. According to the article I'm reading, the Perfumo file is classified as never.
Wow.
Because it's about the royal family.
Oh my days.
And like, you cannot officially accuse Philip of being in the Perfumo scandal because they've said he's not. So it's a lot of like, people do this kind of stuff where you just say it a lot in the same sentence.
Yeah. And you show that like, you know, it puts some doubt into Lizzie's head and like,
yep.
I mean, and it was the actual photograph, I think, from the newspaper, and it looks a lot like Prince Philip, but the power of suggestion, you know, when they're telling you it looks a lot like Prince Philip, you kind of look for those similarities, but it was apparently a really, really juicy and fascinating tale that they didn't really, I don't think, do justice to, but.
No, it would have been a lot more fun. So like, I know when I think about like really, really rich, like people in Britain, I definitely think about like one of the aspects is like weird sex stuff. Like definitely.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we get that. Like culture understanding that the richer you are, the larger your sex parties probably are.
Yeah. And Ward was famous for having these like weekend long parties at his country estate, right?
Yeah. He was trying to bring back Regency era house parties where people would be at someone's house for like 2 weeks.
For like a long time. Yeah.
That's where marriages got arranged and
Yes. Fascinating.
Yeah. In my opinion, Philip's grovel was not adequate.
No, it was still tinged with a lot of arrogance. Yeah.
Not a good grovel. I am a huge fan of a good grovel, literarily. Like, not in life. I don't need people to grovel like to me. But which is good because my husband would not be capable of that. Words are not his forte. That
would not happen.
No, my sweet John Paul. But I love a good literary grovel. Which is like
a good prostrating.
It's like nobody does anything a grovel better than Fitzwilliam Darcy. Like, good Lord.
And Philip's just kind of like,
I screwed up. Sorry.
I'm here if you want me.
Sauce. We've been here before. We'll be here again.
Sorry, I cheated with ballerina. I didn't go to Ward's house. I love you. No, not sufficient. Not sufficient for the amount of heartache. And like heartache on top of then, oh my God, another scandal with my husband. That's like, why do you stop threatening the monarchy, Philip?
Yeah.
Boy.
But I mean, all in all, from my view, this episode is a great summary of the season.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
When Claire Foy is given something to do, she crushes it.
Well, if only they would have given her more things to do.
All of the men around her are incompetent fools on some level or another.
A confederacy of elected quitters. Or unelected quitters. Boy. A confederacy of dunces. Isn't that a phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that.
Confederacy of dunces. And the only person that gave her any true, authentic respect this season was Billy Graham.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was. They definitely tied this season in a nice little bow. And we'll get into that a bit more in our season 2 recap that we'll be doing next. But I think that's, yeah, I mean, I feel talked out about this episode. We've had our say, and we've educated hopefully a lot more people about the start of the swinging 60s in London, in the UK, and the Perfumo scandal, which is just fun to say. But I think that's all I have. Yeah?
Yep.
Cool. So that's it for season 2, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this whirlwind adventure. We'll be putting up a season 2 recap pretty soon, pretty close to the start of season 3, which is next year. We don't know yet when it's getting released, but it is happening in the year of our Lord 2019. So look out for that season 2 recap, where we will condense all of our ramblings and whinges about Margaret into something digestible and useful. But for now, I'm Dr. Hinson.
I'm Dr. Donnelly.
We're the good doctors of Abbey Research, and we will see you guys for season 3.
Can't wait.
Bye.
Bye.